Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Anime Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Lance, here with my other co-host, Matt. We like to open up every episode with our adult beverages of choice. Today, I am drinking a Glenmorangie Age 12 Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. This is sherry cask finish style, and I'm chasing that with a Spotted Cow New Glarus style. What about you, Matt?
As our listeners from our previous episodes, I am drinking the same thing, which is the Journeyman's Distillery Corsets, Whips, and Whiskey, local Michigan distilled whiskey. It's super good.
Oh yeah, that was good stuff.
And then I'm chasing that down with a Spotted Cow as well, my favorite, so can't stop with that one.
No, definitely can't. This is always, it's in all of our fridges. This is what we drink on the reg. Before we continue, Matt, you want to give us a synopsis for today's episode?
All right, so today we are going to be covering Season 2 of Rising of the Shield Hero. It's 12 episodes, and then the 13th episode, kind of call that an OVA-ish.
Like non-official OVA?
Yeah, not official, because it was essentially just a wrap-up of the season with some like side story-esque things going on.
Right.
During these 12 episodes, we kind of get two pseudo arcs going on. We have the Spirit Tortoise arc, which is the Naofumi and group fighting along with this Spirit Tortoise, which is essentially the world's peacekeeper, keeping away the waves. And then after that, you have this New World arc happening, which is basically the villain from the first half of this season jumps to his homeworld, and Naofumi and group follow along. It is the world where Lark, Glass, and the gem vassal, I'm drawing a blank on what her name is. Therese. Yes, Therese. Where they came from or originated from. You follow, or Naofumi and group follow them into that world, similar to the world in which Naofumi got summoned into, with some slight differences. You have some different hero weapons, and you follow along with Naofumi basically trying to stop the villain from the first half of the season, and that happens in the second half without giving everything away.
Pretty much, yeah.
But before we get started, Lance, you want to give us that Lance's lessons?
Today's Lance's Lessons is going to be the Japanese word for tortoise, and that is kame. That is spelled K-A-M-E, and that is very fitting for today because the first half of Season 2, we follow the fight with the Spirit Tortoise. And real quick, tortoise and turtle are the same thing in Japanese, so you can also say turtle is also kame. And don't get too confused with kami, which is God.
One thing that I want to kind of start doing on the beginning of all of our episodes is just kind of, not really rank, but just give an overall view of whatever show we're covering. So Lance, since this is Season 2, would you recommend watching, like continuing Season 2 from off of Season 1?
As of today's date, before there's been an official release date for Season 3, right now, no. I cannot recommend this.
Okay.
I was so insanely disappointed with this entire season.
Okay.
On face. I mean, it was nice to see everything.
Yep.
Just being an anime fan.
Yep.
But ultimately, it was coming off such a high on Season 1, coming to this season. I was very let down on many things.
Okay.
What about you?
Yes, only because of the basically development you get in some of our characters, especially Raftalia.
Yeah, especially. I would say Raftalia is probably the biggest takeaway from this entire season. And you can only really say that on the second half of Season 2.
Yes. Let's see, because it was 5 episodes for the Spirit Tortoise?
It was about 6 and 6. Because I think at the end of episode 6 is when they jumped through the portal.
Okay.
And got separated into the other world.
Okay. Yeah, about halfway through. I didn't mind the Spirit Tortoise arc. It was essentially just a build towards greater events. We find out that there's the Phoenix spirit.
At the end of episode 12?
At the end of episode 12, yep. Mm-hmm. So it kind of leads me to being like, all right, so the Spirit Tortoise is this badass, and it's essentially like the first boss of an RPG where it's strong, but it's not ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And now the next boss is a fucking Phoenix. Like,
right, you can only imagine. I mean, at the same time, they did have a very hard time with this tortoise.
Yeah.
They brought in all these armies. They brought in godly powers. They used the biggest explosions they can handle.
Yep.
We didn't get the help of the other cardinal heroes, which might have proved to be a difference.
Yeah, that kind of shows the significance of the 4 cardinal heroes, because yes, they're meant to fight waves, but essentially a spirit animal is a wave.
Especially with how powerful it's supposed to be. I mean, this tortoise was shooting off these
fucking laser beams and
these laser sparks that were bombs themselves. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I really liked that was a thing. Like, it wasn't just stomping damage. It was radial and long distance attacks. Yeah, the fight was really good. Like, yes, the development in the first half of the season wasn't great. The fight scenes in the Spirit Tortoise section were very good, I thought. Those were better. I just feel overall, the first half of season 2, the whole Spirit Tortoise arc, was just put on fast forward. That needed more time to flush out characters, more time to be dramatic, and more time to just pull us in, because everything that was happening was just like, oh, okay, so here's a problem, and like something in the background, like, oh, I just so happen to have the solution, and then something else happens, like, oh, I just so happen to have the solution. And I didn't feel invested in like any actual scene in the first half of this season.
I can get that. It's also a disappointment because, especially in the beginning, it felt rushed, especially compared to season 1, where season 1 was, yes, 24 episodes, but the first episode was an hour long. So
I forgot about that.
I would consider that 25 episodes in a sense. It just felt really rushed in the beginning. I am happy that on the second, basically once they got to inside the tortoise, like, it slowed down. Like
then we were able to start focusing in on what they were supposed to do. And then now that we're focusing on the inside of the turtle, I don't know. Okay, well, we're on the inside of the turtle because we know that we have to kill the heart. Sounds a weird way to say that. But we know we have to destroy the heart. Because the head itself didn't work out. And then we break the heart, and then we find out that wasn't even the solution either. So, like, what I wanted to get at was they kind of like, how do I say this? Like, the way to defeat this boss is to cut off its head. Oh, the head didn't work. You cut off its heart. And then, the heart didn't work. So you got to cut them both off at the same time. It's kind of like they started to do like a crying wolf kind of thing. And it would have been a little bit different if like I found that funny. But because of the pace and the lack of, like I said earlier, like lack of me being invested, I found that to be just a little bit more annoying.
Yeah, because I mean, you're getting to a boss fight within 6 episodes, or well, within what, 4?
The end of the second episode is where they start the boss fight.
Yeah, so unless you're super drawn in because of season 1, which I would agree both of us were, season 1 was fantastic. So just to kind of, before we get into that, just comparatively, season 2 was a letdown in that sense, but I still enjoyed it. And I get what you're saying about not being invested in essentially the fight with the spirit tortoise, because you go from, the spirit tortoise is here. Oh, now we're fighting it. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try this. That didn't work. Let's try this. Now you have to do both of those things at the same time. Oh, technically that didn't actually work either. Because essentially they had to destroy, in essence, the soul of the tortoise.
If you wanted to make Ost Horai the soul, or are you talking about killing the heart and the head at the same time?
No, because remember, so they chopped off the head and destroyed the heart at the same time, and then Ost got them down into the depths of the turtle, and that's where they find Kyo. So they had to destroy the soul of the tortoise. The only reason why I'm saying the soul is because that's kind of what Kyo was doing, was trying to steal the soul from the tortoise.
Right, that dragon hourglass. Right.
So, yeah, you had to, killing the heart and the head at the same time really brought you to what was the way to kill the tortoise.
Like, I can see that being a thing in like a video game. I would have totally bought that. But like, you're doing all the button mashing, you're doing all the controlling in a video game. That would have been fine. Watching an anime is kind of, I don't know. I just feel like maybe if I saw Sword Art Online do that, I would have accepted that one a little bit more, because that one feels more video game-esque.
Yeah, because until the end of this season, nothing was even related to a video game.
Not
for the
much.
Most part.
Right. I mean, there's a couple things where we got to see like a couple stats, level
Yep.
everyone going back to level 1 in the second half.
Yep.
I was happy to see that Naofumi still absorbing things into his shield.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some kind of like video game-esque stuff going on.
Yep.
So they did sprinkle in just a little bit.
And we can talk about, there's quite a bit to talk about in the manga mentions. For our listeners, this, something I didn't mention in the synopsis is Shield Hero is based off of a web novel. So the manga and the anime are adapted off of the web novels. And because I actually have it pulled up, if you wanted to read the light novels, this season appears to cover 6 through 9. So that kind of covers another thing as far as pacing is concerned. So season 1, which is 24 episodes, was 5 novels. Mm-hmm. And season 2 was 4.
That's kind of crazy. Oh, yeah. Okay. So five novels to cover 24 episodes, and then 4 novels to cover
12.
Let's just say 12 because the 13 really doesn't count.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like Ari Fueta, they put everything on fast forward, so they must have skipped a lot.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to the manga mentions we have at the end because there's some good information going on. Mm-hmm.
But I want to stick with the first half.
Okay.
I think we should split our discussions between Tortoise and
That's
New
cool.
World, just like the novels are.
Yep. We can do that.
I think one of the other, I know we're a happier anime right now, or we're trying to be, but I only dislike the first half.
Okay. I can give you that one.
Okay, so the next biggest thing I have a problem with this first half is the other world's cardinal heroes coming in.
So they were not cardinal heroes.
Oh, they're not official cardinal heroes?
They are vassal heroes. So essentially they are from the world, and the weapon chooses the individual. You know how Raftalia got the katana. So now Raftalia is considered a vassal hero.
Vassal. Okay, so that means Kizuna is a cardinal hero of the other world?
Yes, Kizuna is a cardinal hero. Or is it? Yes.
Okay. So we got those other heroes, Lark and team. They come in with the they still have the same mindset of destroying, let's just say our hero's world. And
so Lark, Glass, and man, I'm drawing a blank on it already. Therese. Yeah, I don't know why I can't remember her name.
The way I keep remembering it is because there's like a ta.
Yeah.
But like I remember we were messing up her name so often last time we talked about it. But it was one of those stupid English words like Therese.
Yeah, Therese. They only came to Naofumi's world to get Kyo.
Right, but they still have the goal of destroying the world in the back of their mind.
In essence, yes.
Because they did confirm that, like they agreed, because Kyo's like, and I'm glad they brought it up in the anime, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, you guys have the same goal. Why aren't you? Okay, what I'm saying is, Kyo was like, your goal is to destroy this world. Why are you stopping me destroying this world if we both want the same thing? And then Lark was like, oh yeah, well, you got a good point, but our weapons tell us that this is not the correct way. I thought that was a cheap cop-out because the goal is the same. It's so annoying.
So the reason why I feel like has everything to do with the fact that Lark is essentially a noble. And so if he is not doing it in a noble fashion, he doesn't want to do it.
I can buy that.
That's what I really took it as. It's like we're supposed to be basically higher people doing things for the greater good, for the world. Do it in a noble fashion. Don't do it as we're going to take over the world's animal and then make it self-destruct itself. That's not how we want to do it. It's your typical like martial artist where it's I want to fight you straight up and not in essence cheating.
Right. Okay. I like that answer a lot better than the anime.
Yep.
I can buy that. But then it's still, the biggest question I'm going to have for the series in general is why do they have to essentially destroy each other's worlds? Or why do they think they have to?
So they don't go over it in the anime, and if they did, it's very convoluted. In essence, there is a myth that says if we kill your cardinal heroes in your world, the waves will stop. Because the waves are the two worlds essentially clashing into each other. And then the monsters, they don't talk about where the monsters come from because the monsters aren't from either world, because you don't see the monsters from the waves in the first season in Lark's world. So where it doesn't say where these monsters come from, but the worlds are essentially like crashing into each other, opening a portal for these monsters to come in and attack. So both worlds are getting attacked by monsters at the same time.
Okay. Makes a little bit more sense.
Which is how the vassal heroes can go back and forth between the worlds because, well, technically they are combined.
Okay, because that was going to be my next big question. I know I said we wanted to split these.
Yep.
But since you're bringing up crossing over vassal weapons,
yep,
we see at the second half of the season that Raftalia gets a vassal weapon. She brings it back to her world. Now, does that mean that world... Okay, so what you were saying is both worlds can share the vassal weapons.
I'm only going to say yes because it happens.
Because it happens. So that's just the way it is.
They don't go into... All they do is... Raftalia says, hey, I should leave this because it's your world's vassal weapon. And Kazuna is like, no, the katana chose you. You are essentially one and the same at this point. Mm-hmm. So she takes it with her and can bring it back with her. So
I don't know. Just questions.
I would go with, because it's a vassal weapon, just like Naofumi was able to bring his shield back, that it can teleport between any and all worlds.
I'm on board with that. I guess what I was getting at was each world doesn't have their own version of a katana weapon.
Yep.
So she essentially just stole the other world's vassal weapon for herself. So in that case, couldn't like one world just claim all of the vassal weapons?
Technically, yes. But you would have to kill a vassal hero and be chosen by the weapon in a wave.
Right. So, I mean, there's a possibility, but yeah, the vassal weapon chooses its own hero. So
yes.
Technically, it could choose everyone from one single world, but it's not likely.
Correct. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen, but we're going to anime logic this, and because Raftalia is a sword for Naofumi, it deemed her worthy.
Mm-hmm. She's got a good heart.
Yes, she does. And I really liked her. Before we continue, I want to talk about favorite characters.
Okay. Who's your favorite character?
I would say, I guess I'll just go with Raftalia. I really liked Raftalia in this season. She had a shit ton of development. She kind of made herself worthy of being Naofumi's partner in essence. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of awesome things from her.
Oh yeah. I cannot wait to see more about her, especially now that she has a sword.
Yep. And some super awesome magic moves. You got to see her do illusion magic. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, back in the cage in the prison?
Yep.
I like that.
So, and it actually comes into play in the manga.
Okay.
So because, I'm just going to talk about it now because I wasn't going to talk about it later, but her using her illusion magic is how they found Kia's hideout, not the wave just appearing on top of it. It'll make more sense when I get there.
In the end? Okay.
Yep. So, she is my favorite for this season. As people in our Facebook and Instagram know, I have her figure. It's super awesome figure, super detailed.
It is a pretty badass figure.
And after watching this season, I'm happy to actually own it. So I'm more happy.
More pride, yeah.
So what about you? Do you have a favorite character?
Overall, I would have to agree with you. I just feel like nobody got as much of a praise, like as much of a badassness about themselves as Raftalia.
Yes.
I don't think anybody in season 1 is worthy of being awesome. And unless you want to talk about Rishia, and I 100% don't think she was good because she was my most hated character. Like she was the one, the way she had a complete 180 with that fight against Kyo. That's probably one of the bigger reasons why I don't like the first half of the season is because of that 180.
Yeah, it was weird. She was just like, yep, I can stand. And you're like, why?
And then her complete character changed in general. She went from this whiny bitch to like a badass who knows how to talk smart and talk back, whatever. She was just not her. If she had many more episodes to become stronger and more independent, then I could have accepted that, but it was just the flip of a page. It just happened. So I will not accept her as a fun character in this. But I want to give Kizuna... Okay, so yes, I love Raftalia, but maybe Kizuna deserves a little bit.
Okay, Kizuna was great. I thought she was a great character. One thing I really liked is she was what Naofumi would have been if he had gotten brought to a country that liked the shield hero.
Yeah, if they actually supported him instead of hated him.
Yep. Mm-hmm. She is exactly... And I like how they brought that up where it's like, oh, this is what would have happened if I had not gone to Melromark.
Mm-hmm. I didn't care. I don't like that her sword doesn't... I don't know. I guess it really doesn't matter if it can't hurt other humans or not because your whole purpose is to destroy monsters.
Yep.
But it's also kind of strange that... Okay, so she's the hunting...
The hunting hero, yes.
Yeah. So I thought it was a little strange that like she had like a fishing pole entwined in it, and I would have liked to see...
Hunting was a very generic term.
Yeah.
Well, she does use the line as a weapon to hunt. Mm-hmm. So one thing that doesn't happen that you see is she kills like 100 enemies at once using essentially that.
The fishing line?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess what I was trying to say was if she's the hunter, I would like to see other forms of like weaponry come out of this one weapon. Like, is it going to be like a hunting rifle? Is it going to be like some kind of crossbow / real bow? Like, is this going to just manifest into different versions of this hunting?
Well, you see it as a sword and the fishing lure. So
it's just
it might turn into a spear. I'm interested because you kind of brought her up. What are the other heroes' objects? Because we have the hunting hero, and that's just kind of whatever. So what are the other heroes' objects?
Oh, like what are their weapons going to be?
Yeah.
And we had this conversation in our season 1 talk. Like what other weapons could there be?
Yeah.
I mean, things are so broad, and of course they're going to want to stay away from all of our heroes' cardinal weapons, and they're going to want to stay away from all the vassal weapons that have already been described.
Yep.
So we're already running pretty slim on weapons at this point, and we only know 1 out of 4 of the cardinal weapons.
Yep.
So these are going to be some very unique and definitely strange weapons that I can see that are going to come forth.
I'm also interested to know, so this world has vassal heroes. Are we in Naofumi's world going to have vassal heroes as well?
Yeah, they made mention that there's like the 6-star or 7-star vassal heroes.
7 vassal heroes. 7-star vassal heroes. So there's 7 of them.
7 of them? Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if that was going to be like a rank title or if there was actual 7 weapons.
Yep.
But yeah, they were all claimed to be of weaker strength, but yet they're still going to be useful. So we do have other weapons to see in the future.
Yes. And the reason why they're useful, as we know, because they can go during waves into other worlds and attempt to kill cardinal heroes. So that is what I deem as why they're necessary /
important.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then why wasn't Alphamy able to transfer? Because he was given the power of the spirit tortoise, or?
Yeah, because of the power of the spirit tortoise, he was able to essentially fulfill a mission and get the spirit tortoise's power back.
Okay. Yeah, because I suppose after the mission was completed, they automatically transported back.
Yep.
Okay. Well, with that being said, how are the vassal weapons even able to transfer between worlds in the first place?
That is a good question.
Because shit just happens. Like, it was super strange to see Lark and his team show up out of nowhere inside the turtle. That threw me through a loop.
Yep.
Because I thought it was supposed to be super hard to even do that in the first place, and now they just seem to be jumping back and forth somehow. I mean, I know Kyo, for whatever reason, had that ability to open up some kind of portal.
Yes. Did I explain why the vassal heroes believe they needed to kill the cardinal heroes?
You kind of alluded to it just a little bit, but I don't think there was a definitive answer.
So, yes, because I started talking about the waves and then we got a little sidetracked. The reason why is because there's a myth in Kazuna's world that if you destroy or kill the cardinal heroes, it will stop the waves permanently.
Right, yeah, you were saying that.
Okay, so yeah, I did. And that's why there was a myth. And basically Kazuna was like, and who cares? We'll figure out a different way. If that's the only way to do it, I don't want to do it.
Right.
So,
and plus, as far as they know, it's just a myth. It's not like there can't be another solution.
Yeah, and that's basically what she did, or what she said. And then Naofumi being himself, he's like, but it's a myth, so it might be believable. And he's like, really? She's like, really, Naofumi? You got to bring that up? It's not helping.
Right. Because as far as we know, as soon as the fourth and final hero dies,
yeah,
a brand new batch just automatically shows up.
It could be.
So it could be just
because
different things.
Did the cardinal heroes in Naofumi's world just all naturally die or die during a wave and not by a vassal hero? Or like, so how did they die? How did the previous vassal hero, or not vassal, the cardinal's heroes die? Because that kind of matters.
Right. I would like to assume all of them died through waves.
Yep.
With the exception of the shield heroes, because that shield hero is cursed with that super demon thing that wants to enrage.
Well, that is because of the dragon. So because Naofumi sucked in part of the dragon, he got the rage from the dragon, and that's why he has it. I forgot
all about that decaying dragon.
Yep.
So that's where all the rage shit started, and it wasn't just automatic?
It was essentially a poison or a curse, I'd say a curse, to his shield status, and that's how he was able to do these things, because it's a curse.
Okay. So when Naofumi switched worlds and started over at level 1,
yep,
the only thing that changed was his level, not his previous shields. Yeah, because he was able to use a couple other shields.
Yep, exactly. He was able to use all of them. The biggest difference was Ost gave part of her power as the spirit tortoise to defend against the power of the dragon, the curse of the dragon.
I think, she gave it to him also in essence because he no longer had hatred to even fuel that shield to begin with.
Or need to, yeah. Yeah. And she wanted him to be able to have an attack that was on par with the curse dragon shield without it being detriment to himself and his party.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Because that wrath shield consumed so much out of him.
Yep.
Such a sacrifice. All right. So I think this is about a good time for a quick break.
Yeah, I need more beer.
All right, and welcome back from our break. After talking about so much about the first half of the second season, I think we should start focusing on the second half.
So Lance's favorite part of the season.
The more fun half of the season. Yeah, exactly. This was the part of the season that I actually did like, and that's I just gotta say the biggest part of this that I liked was going to a new world and starting over.
Yeah, I like that. I thought it was good. It was starting over, but it was like jumping into an RPG that you had previously played, but you're starting over. Kind of like every time you play with Pokemon, it's like you know what to expect, so you're just like, okay, I need to do this, this, and this.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you brought up Pokemon because I wanted to say, when I first watched this, the very first thing that came to my head was playing Pokemon Silver and Gold and Crystal.
Yep.
And when you beat the original Elite Four, you went back to the even more original Johto region, and then you got to fight all the original leaders.
Yep.
And I always wanted to start over completely, start over at Pallet Town with
give me a level 5 Charmander and
exactly, and just give a fresh start on the same exact memory. If you wanted to cheat with your level 60 whatever, then whatever. But at least it would have given you the option to continue on a new leaf.
Yep.
It would have been. That's what I've always wanted, and never happened.
I mean, you could have done it.
No, because everybody's at level 50 plus.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So everybody's insanely hard.
Yeah, so they're all, up to date with where you should be.
Yeah.
So you didn't have an option. Actually, I think the wild Pokemon were weak, but
all
the trainers were top leveled.
Well, you really got to grind.
Could
Could you imagine how long it would take to, like, I'm going to fight level 3 Caterpies for 700 times so I could be level 10?
Yeah. I mean, if you were to be honest, maybe realistically, that's kind of how it would be, because you'd get like a piece of shit Pokemon that you'd have to train for days, weeks, months. Yes. And then you go battle your first trainer, and little do you know, he's been doing the same thing for years, and he's just going to fucking smoke you. So, yeah, it really could be like that realistically. So
yeah, that'd be a crazy concept. I couldn't imagine actually doing that.
I mean, if it was real life, I would.
Yes.
But in a game, no, that's too much wasted time.
Speaking of real life things, did you see Ash is no longer going to be in the anime?
After 25 years, I did see that. Yeah, that's crazy.
They gave him his championship, and they're like, all right, well, what else can we do? I guess we'll just get rid of him.
Yeah, I didn't like dive into it because I saw one picture showing him as like an adult. Like after so many years, Ash is finally grown up. Yep. And then a couple of weeks later, Ash is no longer going to be the main character. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, I think that was just kind of like fan art. The Ash thing was fan art. The years grown up.
Oh, maybe. Or maybe he'll be dropped in later or something.
Yeah, that'll be how they segue.
Mm-hmm. Either way, I'm interested. There was a long time that I tried to stay current with Pokemon. Like, when did I last leave off? I think I stopped watching at the Sword and Shield arc. No. I stopped watching at the Hawaiian version.
The Alolan?
The Alolan, yeah. I watched most of that one. I didn't finish it.
Yep.
But it got to a point where like I just kept it on in the background on Netflix, and it was just playing.
You're like, oh, hey, something's happening.
Or is it the Pokemon channel? The Pokemon channel played, okay. Not Netflix.
Yeah. Well, Netflix does have it. And I was trying to get my daughter to watch the Champion, the newest one, the one where he actually finally wins.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I haven't watched it either.
And yeah, my daughter watched like one episode. She loves Pikachu, and that's as far as it goes. She wanted nothing to do with the actual show.
You have no idea how much more better things there are out there. You just got to watch and learn to love other things.
Yeah, but it's
1,000+ other Pokemon.
I know. Speaking of Pokemon, what do you think of the new game?
Scarlet and Violet?
Yep.
I'm playing Scarlet. I just completed everything minus the gym or the Elite Four.
Okay.
I'm liking it for the most part. I mean, it were bringing me back to the OG feels.
Okay, nice.
It's kind of strange that they have such an open world and they let you go to any gym that you want to. Mm-hmm. And if you just so happen to choose a gym that's too strong, then fuck you, go find someone weaker or something. So it's strange in that aspect.
Yep.
Thankfully, there's the internet that can tell you, like, hey, like, this is the order of the gyms that you should typically go in.
Yep.
Which is fine. But, I mean, as long as you have the type advantage, it honestly doesn't matter in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they're not overly strong.
Right.
They've weakened. The gym leaders have just been weakened over the years where they're not nearly as difficult as they used to be.
For the most part. And all these newer games are adding EXP share.
Yep.
So everybody gets experience, not just the one who's battling. I mean, the one who's battling does get the bulk of the experience. They get the boost, yeah. Which I'm totally fine with because if you're going to fucking give away 1,000 different guys to choose from and like halfway through the game you decide you want to change up your team, but like why would I change up my team when I've already put 12 hours of work into one guy and then just to give up on them?
And then remember in the OG ones, you would have the experience, it was experience share, but it was like one Pokemon when you could give an item to a Pokemon and then it would share between one other Pokemon in the beginning.
Are you talking about the Lucky Egg?
No, it wasn't. I'm talking like Yellow and those ones where you could...
There was the EXP share after you've caught like...
It was like 50 Pokemon or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you got it from one of the scientist guys.
Yep, and then it would allow you to share your EXP with one Pokemon.
Was it? I can't even remember.
Because there was experience share and then experience all, which if you had all... Because I think it was...
Well, don't get too far ahead of yourself because holding items didn't become a thing until Gold, Silver, Crystal.
So the second...
So blue, red, and yellow did not have held items.
Yeah, so it was in your bag.
So they had experience all. Yeah, if you had it in your bag, everybody got experience.
Yes, but then it wouldn't be until, halfway through the game at that point? Well, battling the...
It was already late in the game.
Yeah, it was pretty late in the game where you had to... You're grinding like crazy, so you'd have one level 60 Pokemon, and everybody else could be like level 40 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It might have been better if we were older and more strategic. But I was younger. I had 3 guys max that I cared about, and I
Yep.
just used them solely and just murked everybody.
Yep. I remember when I was young, like 10 or 11, something like that. Like I remember having Jolteon and Pikachu in the same party. I'm like, now that I'm thinking about it now, I'm like, why did I do that?
Today, that's terrible. You don't want two of the same types.
I know. I had them both maxed out though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think I got my first level 100 until Diamond.
Okay.
And that was Dialga.
Yeah, I had Pikachu and Jolteon at 100. And then I'm trying to remember who else. I think I had Dragonite pretty high. I think I had a Gengar and a Snorlax and I think one other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had basically high, besides Pikachu. Pikachu, I had like max speed on him, so it'd just be faster than everybody else, so you could kill everybody. I don't remember who my sixth Pokemon was when I was little. I don't even know where my yellow is anymore.
I don't know. But now that I'm thinking about it, I could have easily made a couple extra hundreds because I never, ever, ever use experience or rare candies.
Rare candies, yeah, I use the shit out of them.
I save them for just in case things.
Yep.
And then because I'm so frugal about it, I just keep it in the back. Like even in my Scarlet version right now, I've got like 20 rare candies sitting on me and I'm not going to use it.
Yep.
Because I know in the back of my head, it's going to be more worthwhile to use a rare candy on a level 90 than it is going to be to a level 50 or something.
Yep.
So I tell myself, grind now and cheat later, and I never end up using it to begin with. So I don't know. I'm in that loop.
Yeah, granted, I'd play Pokemon on the Game Boy like crazy when I was a little kid, going through batteries, having those crazy stack stuff. Yeah, I was going on car rides, going through like 2 sets of batteries at a time, just nonstop playing.
Your car rides?
Long.
You would travel states.
Yeah.
But holy crap, have we talked a lot about not Shield Hero?
Yes, let's get back into Shield Hero. Let's go into part 2 of season 2 and
real quick.
Yes.
I guess it's not the introduction. Okay, so the introduction of season 2 is Kizuna and stuff like that.
Yep.
I know we might be skipping a little bit of a little section, but as soon as they find that that bug and they have that tree break out of that infinite labyrinth.
Yep.
And we have Naofumi and Raftalia and that other annoying bitch. Rishia, thank you. So they're falling into back into the real world.
Yes.
Not the real world, but into their world.
Yes.
So they're falling.
Yes.
And Kizuna casts her line.
Yes.
So that Naofumi grabs the line.
Just happened to not cut the shit out of his hand. Yes.
Well, not only that, but that would make sense if he was levitating upwards, but he's falling. So she could have just jumped. What was the whole... that bothered the shit out of me. There was literally no purpose in that unless they would have said out loud, oh, what if we start getting separated? Our line could keep us together. I would have bought that just a little bit, but he's fucking falling. Just jump at him because gravity does the work.
It doesn't happen in the manga. We'll just go with that.
Okay.
But I know what you're saying. It makes absolutely no sense besides showing her ability. Oh, look, it's useful in this manner. It's but it's not needed in this manner, so who cares?
Okay, I got one last little bitch, and then I'm done with bitching about the second half of the season.
Okay.
And it's the same fucking area with Kizuna. When they run into Kizuna, Naofumi's like, how old are you? And she's... I'm 18. So that was she was straight on that. She knew she was 18, all that fun stuff. And then there was another scene that should be how long have you been down here? I don't know. I lost track after the first year or two. But for certain that you're 18. And you're, it just bothered me. There's so much contradiction going on right there.
So I took it as she probably counted until she was 18. And then she's like, well, I guess I don't need to count anymore. I had my 18th birthday. So here we are.
If they would have said that, I would have bought that. But no, there's two contradicting things. Okay, no more bitching. That was the last of it. I like the rest of this season from episode 7 on 4th.
Yes. I did find it funny how they called her a lolly, fourth wall.
A lolly hag.
Yes, which I'm not 100% sure what the difference is.
I didn't look into it, but from what I took, I'm just going to assume that it's an older person who looks younger.
But that's what a lolly is.
That's why a lolly, yeah, But if he threw the hag in there, I'm going to assume it's because the hag means someone who's older. And that's why I'm saying it that way.
So the definition of a lolly is a childlike female character, particularly in a lolicon genre. And then
that's real helpful.
I know.
A lolly character is in a lolly genre.
Yes. So typically a lolly is young. Okay, so yes, your definition would make sense. Where it's who's older but looks young.
Okay.
And then a lolly is actually older than they look. Basically, she is 300 years old, dragon thrope. That's funny. So I looked it up, and then the icon is of Kizuna.
Oh. That's funny.
So, yeah, I've seen basically a lolly hag is supposed to be somebody that's like a grandparent, supposed to be really old and looks young versus somebody who's just older and looks young.
Okay.
I guess.
So like what I was saying to the more extreme.
Yes.
Which makes it weird that Naofumi would call an 18-year-old a lolly hag.
Yes.
Okay. Just taking these terms going too far with them. We're cool. We're hip.
Yes. Sure, we'll go with that. But it was...
Ooh.
Yes.
I got another thing that I just, going through my notes, I just remembered. There was a moment that when Naofumi ran into Glass.
Yes.
Okay, I guess just going back into the first half. He made a very impressionable moment about how she looks different.
Yes.
And they never go back to that.
They don't.
Not only that, I gotta go to my notes on my phone because I had to take two. I was listening to it at work, so I had to take two separate location of notes. Okay, so in the first half, when they were looking at all those, when they were on the tortoise and they were in that little cave and there was all that writing, and then Naofumi reads that he can make out a couple words, 3 words. There was seal, seventh, and shatter. And the only thing that he could come up with was seventh, and that was because there would be 7 days until the spirit tortoise would do something.
Yes.
But they never focused on seal and they never focused on shatter. Another thing that they just fucking bring up like, oh, this is super dramatic, and they never do anything about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be light novel references that we're just not going to understand.
I hope so.
Please, anybody who has read the light novels, give us some context clues into what we're missing, because I feel like that would help us enjoy the season a lot more. I enjoyed the season. I thought it was good. Not nearly as good as season 1, but it was good. And I feel like it would kind of help put it over the edge if we got a bunch of context going on in this. I just feel like they rushed it. That's all.
Especially the first half. Second half is much better.
Yes, the second half was really good. I enjoyed the fact that they brought another villain in, but tied him into Kyo. And I love what Naofumi calls him in the manga.
Oh, really? There's another...
Because he calls him by name in the anime.
Right, yeah. He always referred to him as his name.
Can you give us a reminder on his name? Because the manga name for him is hilarious. And I will I will say what they call him in the manga after you let us know what his name is in the anime.
Yeah, his name is Kazuki.
Okay, I bring that up because I forgot to write his name down in the beginning. And in the manga, Naofumi only calls him Trash Number 2.
Trash Number 2? As in like Trash King?
As in, he basically says he is as bad as as bad as the king. So he is Trash 2.
Oh, I wish they would have brought that. That could have brought a little bit more humor into this one. That would have been good.
Yeah, and that is after he basically says his name, he does not reference him as anything but trash.
That's kind of funny.
I
wish they would have captured that.
So, that is important to remember because I'm going to reference him a few times.
As Trash Number 2?
As Trash Number 2.
Okay.
Yeah, now that we brought Trash Number 2 into this conversation, like, what'd you take of him as a villain in general? Just kind of...
I thought he was okay.
Yeah.
He was just someone that wanted to... Like, he was like the underling under Kyo.
Yep.
And Kyo was a dick, and he wanted to, like, prove himself to be better.
Yep.
So he was all he wanted to do was just better himself so that he can be better than Kyo. Like, that's fine.
Yes.
I bought that, so I didn't think too much about it. I wish they would have drawn on it a little bit more.
I mean, he technically doesn't stay alive all that long.
No, I mean, it's only maybe 3-4 episodes max. Because when he gets shown at the end, he's just an empty corpse.
Yeah, I love how he gets chopped in half, and then they're like, hey, we're actually going to bring him back, and here you go. Now he's a corpse, and you're just like, what?
Yeah. What do they call him? Like an homunculus or something?
Yeah, homunculus.
Which I was fine with too, because this book vessel weapon that Kyo has, it's pretty damn powerful. The things that book can do kind of seem like they might be a little limitless. I would like to imagine that book itself was the reason why he was able to transfer from world to world.
Yes, I would agree.
In addition to that, he was able to make others teleport to where he wanted them to teleport, which is why half the team went to the Infinite Labyrinth. I don't know why he separated.
He sent Naofumi and group to the Infinite Labyrinth, and Philo off on her own, basically as a punishment to Naofumi, and then sent the other Lark and his group to this prison, which...
What was it called? Like the Prison of Despair or something like that?
Yeah.
Something that just drained their energy.
Which was very effective against Glass, because you find out that she is a spirit. Mm-hmm. And
I'm really glad they went into detail on her.
Yes.
Because I guess that was one big question that they totally answered in this season, which is why Naofumi's shield, drain shield or whatever it was called.
Yeah, where it drained basically spiritual pressure.
Yeah, and she wanted nothing to do with it. So I'm glad they went into that kind of detail.
Yeah, that was a minor detail that was really confusing in season 1, because you're kind of like, okay, well, why does it really affect her? And then we find out, which is super nice.
Right. So that was something I was 100% happy with.
Yeah, I do have some explanations, because once I talk about it, it's going to make more sense on why things happen the way they did.
Okay.
It's interesting to know how he gets these abilities, like if he's just reading book after book after book and that's how he's getting it.
Or if all this information is just contained within the book itself and he's just activating it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how he's able to basically get all this power, because it's kind of crazy that you wouldn't think a book hero vassal person would be able to do all this damage.
Right. I guess it depends on what the book says, because the book itself kind of reminds me of like Black Clover vibes. You just read spells from inside and then stuff happens.
Yeah, I guess I can give you that one. Kind of similar in a sense. That'd be really good. I kind of like that, actually. I think it would make the most sense on why it would work out that way.
If you want to stick on vassal weapons,
we can
talk about Ethnobard or whatever his name was, the dude with the what was it called, like the boat weapon?
Yes,
something along those lines.
It was a boat weapon.
It was like it's a boat.
It's a transport
somehow
ship.
Considered a weapon, but there it is. Completely completely support kind of item.
Yes.
Kind of thing. I mean, the weapon, I still feel weird calling it a weapon, but the item itself is super useful. And it also takes the whole Dragon Hourglass transportation to the next level.
Yep.
That Naofumi's world. Well, actually, I guess the Cardinal Heroes had the ability to teleport between cities that they've been to.
Yes. Which Naofumi didn't know about until like at the end of season 1.
Right. So I guess there needed to be some sort of quick transport, especially since all of today's video games have
teleportation stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see like just all the knowledge that everybody had comparatively. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason in Naofumi's world, like everything kind of seems to be a secret and nobody wants to give out any information.
Between the Cardinal Heroes?
Between the Cardinal Heroes, between the Vassal Heroes, between like anything, where it's just like everything has to be a secret and a grind to find out this information. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that it's almost this is a parallel world, which you can kind of think of it as that way.
Right. I mean, on paper, it sounds like it should be parallel.
Yep. And because I don't know where I was going with that.
That's all right. I mean, there was a handful of differences. I mean, we saw that Philo, her Philolian, didn't exist in this world, so she was able to take on a whole different form.
Yeah, Humming Fairy, I think is what it was.
I think so. That sounds familiar. Humming, at least. Humming Fairy. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think so.
So that was cool.
And then their armor and weapons and stuff were kind of glitching out because they weren't exactly compatible.
Right.
Well, their armor, at least, was not compatible.
Well, at least the shield hero, because he was a cardinal.
Yes.
That's what I took that one as.
But then Naofumi's armor was kind of glitching out. Like it wasn't it had no like effective status. It was just like basic armor in that world.
Oh, okay.
According to them, because they had to get new armor, which I thought was weird that it was ineffective in Kizuna's world, but then effective in his own world. Like he was still wearing it in his own world. So I thought that was kind of weird.
Oh, yeah, because he left that world in that uniform, and that's just his new look.
So one thing I will say is that doesn't happen in the manga.
Oh, no?
No.
There's just some creative liberty there.
Yeah, apparently. So that's really all I'm going to get into as far as that is concerned, because that's really all that matters.
Okay. Well, let's just talk about the elephant in the room.
Yep.
And that's Raphtalia getting her sword.
Yes, she was chosen by the katana to be the katana vassal. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I know we kind of already briefly talked about this, but okay, at first I'm a little bit split on my initial thoughts. Because I really don't like when anime all of a sudden have like a list of moves available as soon as they just obtain something.
Yeah, I've had this for 5 seconds and I know 20 items. It's like, or 20 skills. It's like, but that's not how that works.
Right. Like she had 0 time to learn anything.
Yep.
And they could have at least taken the shortcut like, oh, I suddenly know how to use all these techniques. Like, I was cool with her slowly growing.
Yes.
Because she slowly grew. It wasn't just like an instant transformation or it happened out of the blue. Like, she was running, she was tripping, she was growing slowly. I bought that. But her using her snow techniques out of nowhere.
Yes.
I guess on another note, I am glad she said I have no, not control. No, she made,
restraint? I don't remember exactly the word she used.
Anyway, whatever the word is that she used specifically, like she tried to warn Kazuki.
She can't restrain herself from basically going all out.
Right, because she's had no practice. And like, I don't know how powerful I am, so if I kill you, I'm letting you know I don't know.
I will say that doesn't happen in the manga either.
Oh, wow.
She doesn't just instantly be like, oh, I have this weapon now. Oh, hey, now I can do all these moves. No, it doesn't work like that. At least in the manga, it doesn't work like that.
Wasn't 0 to 60 like the anime was?
I would say 0 to 100. She went full go. No, it's not quite like that.
Especially after she was given that kimono.
Yes.
Like all of a sudden she was recognized as an actual vessel weapon holder. And she got all this respect out of nowhere, even though everybody knew exactly who she was or whatever. So weird.
Yeah. There's so many things that happen in the manga that didn't necessarily happen like that in the anime. So we're going to have a good conversation. We'll just put it that way.
I'm looking forward to it.
I know there was a lot that happened in this season, but I mean, really, the big things were Raphtalia became a vassal hero. Basically, Lark and group
like no longer want to kill each other.
Yeah, they don't want to kill each other, which I don't really think Lark ever actually wanted to.
Right, I can see that too. Oh, speaking of Lark, his whole kiddo thing, at least in the English version, his kiddo thing was over dramatic. I wish they would have like normalized that a little bit more, but every time he said kiddo, it was just like kiddo. Like right in your face. Like it needed to be over enunciated and like
just in your face.
Yeah. It was too much. I would have been okay with it if it wasn't just
See, I took it like an offhand comment, kind of like all right, kiddo, kind of like that's how I took it when I was reading it. Like I guess I didn't even pay attention.
If you're reading it, if I would have been reading it in the manga, I would have normalized it. But hearing it in the manga is just like, don't put so much emphasis on kiddo. It makes yourself weird.
Yes. I did find it funny that Naofumi essentially got his revenge on...
I did like that.
young
master.
Don't call me that.
Don't call me that, kiddo. Oh, sorry. There's a little pause. Don't call me that, kiddo. Like, oh, okay. Sorry. I just need to put one more little dig in there. But yeah, that was fun. I did like that he was the young master.
Yes. And then I love how Kizuno was like, oh, just charge Lark.
To the rich guy. Yeah.
I thought that was funny. If they would have kept what the second half of season 2 was throughout the entire season, I think more people would have enjoyed it.
For the most part, definitely.
So I will be completely honest. When I first started watching the season when it came out, and I stopped watching it because I was like, this is stupid. Because it was like I was essentially watching like a cut screen, a load screen for an older RPG, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this in my anime, so I stopped watching it. Like, what was it, last year when it came out? Or earlier this year? I think it was April-ish.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're finally getting to season 2 and I pushed through it because I did enjoy the second part, the New World arc. I enjoyed Kizuna. I enjoyed the development that Lark's group had in that they're like, you know what? Maybe we don't have to kill the cardinal heroes in your group.
I was happy about that, especially after what I was complaining about in the first half, where like they're here to kill the other world, and then that's not the way we should kill the other world, and then they come back and they're like, okay, maybe we're not all bad. So it was really cool when Kizuna, and before I say this, I wasn't on board with it at first,
okay,
but it was really cool when Kizuna brought that woman that had her sword explode to the house,
okay,
and had her be like, hey, make yourself at home, and we need to talk things out. We need to know that you're not our enemy, and we don't want any trouble. And then it worked out all right. I mean, that's a happy-go-lucky route. But at first, I was like, "This is stupid." But then after a moment, I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm glad they went that route." Because at the end of episode 12, we saw that same woman was a friend of Kizuna.
She was a friend of? No, she was a friend of...
Oh, sorry. It was episode 13 when they were fishing.
Yomogi. You're thinking of Yomogi. So she was always friends with Kyo, and eventually it kind of turned into... Honestly, I wouldn't take anything that happened in the 13th episode as factual.
Not too much. I mean, it's just going to be complete fluff.
Yeah, so I almost take that as filler. So
I would say filler, but at the same time, when season 3 comes around, I can see her being an ally of our heroes on the other world.
Yes, but I think that has everything to do with the fact that she is a trustworthy person, and she took her friendship and almost glossed over all of Kyo's faults. Mm-hmm. And took this, hey, you're my childhood friend. I've never seen you be evil. You can't be evil. I don't like what they're saying has to be wrong because I've known you my entire life and you've always been a good person.
Right.
So, I mean, I can understand that. She seems to be a good friend, and I can understand her being a ally in the future, but I just think it's going to take some time, and the next time we see her will be some time between now and then. And so,
yeah, they're going to need to build it up a little bit.
Yes. And just everybody seems to kind of like Kizuna, so everybody wants to be her friend.
Right. She's just so happy, and she wants to make everyone else.
She's a genuinely good person.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And I mean, let's be honest, if you're genuine, you're going to attract people who want that.
Right.
There was a lot that happened in this episode or in this part of the season, but is there really anything too much you want to talk about?
One last thing that I wish didn't happen.
Okay.
Was at the very end when
the bullshit Naofumi and Rishia thing where he's choking her and she's just like, you're not a bad person. I know this is how you always felt about me, and it's like,
I forgot. Okay, I forgot all about that little scene. Okay, yeah, when he's choking her out and calling her a whore and a slut, and I hated you from the beginning, and every time I look at you, I want to vomit or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, wow, I thought that was terrible. Yeah, one thing.
That was terrible.
I'm going to say right now, that doesn't happen in the manga, and I'm going to assume that doesn't happen in the light novels either.
Okay, I hope so.
Because it was such, like, kind of BS. It was so stupid.
Yeah, because, like, Naofumi he definitely saw that, like, season 1 Naofumi would have seen that she is weak and needs improvement, but he would have never have gone to the point of calling her a whore and all that fun
She was what Naofumi was when he and Raftalia started.
In a way. But she was a whiny bitch compared to him being just rejected.
Mean, he was kind of the world's out to, like, that super emo, kind of like was it Spider-Man 3? Or super emo about everything. Oh, God.
Yeah, the embarrassing part of Spider-Man, yeah.
Yes, the super emo. That's what Naofumi was. Where he was just kind of like, fuck everything. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the world hates me. And he's got Raftalia here like, you're my best friend. I love you. We should continue what we're doing. We're doing great things. And he's just like, fuck this place. So,
I mean, I don't mean to cut you off, but like back to what I was trying to get at was I didn't like how Naofumi was trying to summon. Okay, so he summoned the Wrath shield.
Yes.
And I was getting super pumped about it because that's what I loved about season 1.
Okay.
Naofumi was this outcast guy who was always being shit on.
Yep.
And he needs this rage to push him to the next level.
Sort of, yes.
To a point. And then this entire second season, twice, he's been like talked out of it, talked out of using his wrath. I mean, the first time he didn't have any rage to begin with, but the second time he was talked out of it, and this stupid tortoise spirit came in and did a spirit or a super blast, a hyper beam, and finished it off.
A super hyper beam because he had the mirror vassal.
The mirror vassal was continue with it too. And I think what makes Naofumi so cool is that he's this fuck the world, I'm going to do whatever I want kind of thing. Like, hatred is what makes him who he is. And then he's slowly becoming this, like, happier person. Like, I know.
But that was never what he actually was. So if you really pay attention when he, like, monologues his life, he's like, I was just this typical Anteiku that enjoyed reading mangas and playing RPGs, and like, I never took him as this fuck the world, I hate everything. I took it as I want to be me and I'm going to do whatever I want kind of thing.
That's true. But in season 1, the new world pushed him into that hateful guy. And that's what made me like him, is because it was me.
Yes.
And like, I guess typically I don't like me, but like I'm watching this anime of him exploding into a new, more powerful character.
Because he was powerful and had these super cool moves. I have a feeling you're going to be very disappointed with what Naofumi is going to turn into if that's what you actually enjoyed.
Oh no, because I was just about to say, back when the beginning of the second half, when they were about to go raid that temple, after they found Philo,
yep,
and Naofumi's getting all this rage, and you can see his shield getting built more rage into it, and I was like, yes, get more rage. And then stupid Rishia is like, no, let's calm down and let's go build a plan and attack on secrecy. I wanted him to fucking blow up and go make a scene, because that's the Naofumi that I thought I knew.
Yeah, no. I think that is going to be the Naofumi of the past, and I don't think you're gonna, because they've been building towards Naofumi no longer using the rage shield, because who is currently the Vittoria? The
Philolian queen?
Yeah. So she's talked about don't use that shield. And now you have Ost, which said you don't need this shield. Use the spirit tortoise as your way to not have to use that shield.
Okay, I wish they would have brought that up. Like, they do so many flashbacks here and there. I wish they kind of would have did that, because that would have refreshed my memory a little bit then.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I do like seeing rageful Naofumi.
Yes, but I think honestly what killed it for me was what he did to Rishia. Like, it was just stupid.
Oh, that was stupid. I did not
It made absolutely no sense, because it's like he has control of himself and doesn't at the same time. Because really, the only reason why he attacked any of the people in his party was because it was residual, not because he was attacking his party.
Right.
So I didn't see it as something that would actually happen even in season 1. Like, he would, like you said, he would have never said that stuff. I think he sees too much of himself in Rishi to even like think that stuff on her, because I mean he's acknowledged that the only reason, or the only true thing that Rishia wants to do is make herself worthy to, oh man, it's the bow hero, or is he the sword hero or the bow hero? It's Suki.
The bow hero.
It essentially make herself worthy of being in his presence, which I'm trying to remember. Do they talk about what he did for? Rishia explains what Itsuki did for Rishia.
Yeah, like saved her from like the slave shit.
Yeah. So I mean, it makes complete sense why she would want to.
Oh yeah, I don't blame her for that. Yeah, that's totally fine.
And so Naofumi's not going to blame Rishia for that reason alone, because it's a worthy cause and reason to want to repay Itsuki.
Right.
So I get it. That was probably even beyond the RPG loading screens that we had to watch. That was probably my least favorite part of the entire season. But let's talk about our favorite parts of the entire season. Do you want to talk about your favorite scene / episode?
Yep, I do have a favorite scene.
Okay.
And ironically enough, it is from the Spirit Tortoise arc.
That is very ironic.
Because I dislike that arc the most, but I did truly enjoy the head chopping off scene.
Okay, yep.
When they chopped off the Spirit Tortoise's head, and that was because all three of the girls, and that was Risha giving like a power boost to Raftalia and Philo.
Okay.
And then like Dragon Ball Z style, Philo and Raftalia got this big glow on them, and together they did like a chop, and they helped cut off the head. That teamwork scene to me was pretty awesome.
Okay.
Totally fell for that one. So that was my favorite scene in the entire season 2.
Okay. I will give you that one. Oh man. The funny part is you talked about this earlier, and I should have been thinking about it, but I kind of just drew a blank on what it was. If I had to see, I keep thinking too much of the manga, and there's a lot of parts I really enjoy in the manga, but as far as the anime is concerned, I guess we'll go at the end. I really enjoyed just obliterating Kyo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it kind of father-son Kamehameha-esque going on, where the power of everybody going together is what finally brought the end of Kyo.
Yeah, I can follow that.
I enjoyed a lot of this season. I'll be completely honest. This season probably dropped Shield Hero out of my top 10, like as far as favorites.
At least as a series is
concerned. As a series is concerned. Anybody who watches season 1 needs to watch season 2. I hope they do justice in season 3. I feel like the series is going to be very good, but it's going to be kind of like in Dragon Ball Z, where you've got these so many arcs where you're going to be like, all right, this is my favorite arc, which in Dragon Ball Z would probably be the Majin
Vegeta.
The Majin arc.
Well, yes. More specifically around Majin Vegeta.
Yes, 100%. Yes. Yeah. But, and then, like, my least favorite arc is probably going to be, like, the Garlic Jr. arc.
Yeah, it was a couple episodes long. It was not needed.
That was complete filler.
Yeah.
But it's going to be one of those things where it's like, meh, I'll watch it, but only because I want to watch the whole series kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have a feeling that's what's going to happen in season 2. Like I'm hoping we're going to get a bunch of seasons in this. Because as of right now, there's 22 light novels to this. So if they keep pace, where every 12 to 24 episodes is about 5, we get, 3 more seasons?
Yeah, so there's plenty more information to cover.
Yeah, we could potentially get up to 3 more seasons. There's a lot of information that we could get in this series, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really good.
I do have one quick favorite small scene from an episode that I would like to play real quick.
Okay, yeah, let's see. Unfortunately, this is a audio-based.
All right, yeah, so this is off my phone, so hopefully this works out really well. But this is episode 3, and we are at about the 1650 marker. So if you guys want to follow along, find your own little clip. But it's a very funny line. Let's listen.
But it's so big that we can't count on it fitting in the hole all the way. If that happens, then we'll just have to decapitate it.
It's by far our best option.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say. I was laughing so goddamn hard when I heard that. And of course, they're talking about chopping off the head of the tortoise, but
it's so big.
Oh, but it's so sexual, so good.
Oh, we are children at heart. Okay, that's the key to not growing old. So you gotta laugh at the little things.
Exactly.
So, if you don't have anything else, you want to get into manga mentions?
Yep, well, let's go ahead and do that.
All right.
NANI?
All right. As I'd kind of been mentioning throughout this episode, there is a lot going on in the manga that didn't happen or was changed compared to the anime. For anybody who wants to read the manga starting from season 1, it starts out on chapter 43 and goes until chapter 88/89. So
that's quite a few chapters.
most of the chapters are 50 plus pages.
Oh, wow.
So, yes.
Well, you were busy.
I was. It took me about 2 weeks to get through all this.
Wow. Okay.
The biggest thing, Naofumi does not get Raphtalia's village until chapter 89.
Okay, so it's not as soon as the anime shows?
Yeah, so in the anime, they go from the wave at the island to Naofumi getting Raphtalia's village, and in the manga, it goes from the wave to the spirit tortoise to the new world to coming back, and this is when Naofumi finally asks to, in essence, be a lord of a village, specifically Raphtalia's village.
Okay.
So because there is a wave that happens when Naofumi is gone, because the wave that happens in Kizuna's world also happens in Naofumi's world.
Right, they happen at the same time.
And there is a lot of demi-humans that are orphaned. So Naofumi's like, I want a village that is I want land. Specifically, I want Raphtalia's village, and I want to make it a place in which I can take in these orphans, give them food, shelter, training. And then Naofumi being Naofumi, he's like, I'm also going to make them into my merchants and create an army.
Okay, so all of that happened in the end?
All of that happened in the end, yes.
Okay, and so in the anime, when the spirit tortoise was coming by, Naofumi made, in the anime at least, I want to say, I want to emphasize that in the anime, that Naofumi said that he only wants to protect his land, his territory that he...
Yes.
So what did the manga say which led Naofumi to want to attack the tortoise?
Basically, it is the queen asking for help, essentially.
Oh, and he just straight up gave in?
Kind of. So, I mean, he is on good terms with the queen.
Yeah.
So if she is asking for a favor, he is going to do it for her.
Okay.
Now, I mean, if it would have been Trash, the king, well, what used to be the king, he wouldn't have done it. But because the queen is in good standings with Naofumi, I mean, they're very upfront and honest with each other. They're going to do it because the tortoise is actually coming towards Melremark. So she's like, we're not going to have a kingdom if you don't do anything.
Right.
And he's like, all right, I guess let's do this. And some other things are happening beforehand. Part of the reason why it feels super rushed, at least in the beginning, is because they skip over essentially an entire arc worth, like a training arc, mini arc thing.
Oh, really?
So that granny old woman.
Oh, yeah, I liked her.
She was training the individuals on how to use ki, which allows for weak or low level individuals to attack stronger, higher level individuals.
And is that why Rishia was able to be a different person on the flip of a freaking coin? Or
kind of, yes. So
I mean, they made mention like, oh yeah, she's been training much more than we can see, but like at the same time, like that's not what we've been visually.
So the old woman essentially called Rishia her predecessor.
Yep.
Where she had been training Rishia in how to use ki. She'd really been training everybody how to use ki, but Rishia was like the most adept to it, where she was able to crack this stone statue just by poking it, essentially, which the old woman was able to obliterate that same statue with just poking it.
Oh, okay.
So because Rishia was even able to crack it while she knew that she was essentially worthy of being trained, that where she could tap into her ki and use it, the old woman basically made mention that it could take 10 years in a mountain being isolated and you still might not ever be able to use ki.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah. Yes. So you miss all of this training arc. So Claire, the woman who is talking in your favorite scene, is a master swordsmith. swordsman.
Right, and she's the one that gave up training other swordsmen to come help fight the tortoise. She had like pinkish red hair.
Yep. So
in the anime.
The other character she was training was Raftalia, Naofumi. She was actually training the cardinal heroes who got super butthurt about it because...
Oh, really? 'Cause the way I took it as she was training Raftalia's town.
Nope. She was training all the individuals in Melromark.
Okay, so she had a much higher role.
Yes. And so she is actually a noble, and she agreed to train in essence because she felt guilty for her father, who died in one of the waves, allowed for the enslavement of demihumans.
Oh, okay.
So she is the noble that is in charge of the land that Raftalia is from.
Okay.
So she is the daughter of what used to be the noble in charge of the land until, he died. And she was doing this in kind of a repentance to make up for what her father did.
Right. So to give her family name a good pat on the back. Or not. To give her family name a good name again.
Yes. And she fought Ren in a duel and actually beat him. So Ren is the sword hero.
Right.
And basically he got all butthurt because they fought in a no magic fight and was like, well, in a real fight, I would use magic. And it's like, well, you lost, so it doesn't matter if you could use magic or not, like straight up. It's kind of like, in Dragon Ball Superheroes where Vegeta won with no power-ups and no ki blast. So
right.
Vegeta automatically is the better person because he can win on base level.
On like straight will and muscle.
Yes. Yeah. Same concept, except for Claire was able to beat Ren in like 2 seconds kind of thing.
Oh, on a much quicker base.
Yes. Okay. So she is significantly lower level, but she has mastered swordsmanship as compared to Ren, who is basically relying on magic and just having a cardinal hero's weapon,
right,
instead of mastering his weapon. And all the cardinal heroes are learning how to use ki, how to better their skills, and then they actually have to put in effort, so they run away.
So they run away?
Yeah, they run away. And the queen gives them an ultimatum where they have to fight the spirit tortoise and they have to fight in the next wave. And she will allow them to leave the country without pursuing them. And then they run away. So they basically give up on training. And the queen's like, well, if you don't want to train, I'm not going to just let you leave. And so they're like, well, what is it going to take for us to be able to leave? Because they don't want to train. And she says, fight the tortoise and the next wave and you could leave. And then they just leave.
Wow, what a bunch of bitches.
Yeah, they're super bitches.
And they end up getting caught anyway by Kyo.
Yeah, super bitches, and then get caught by a somewhat not super powerful boss.
Right.
Because I doubt he even had to use the power of the spirit of the tortoise to entrap them.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure at that point, if he would have had to capture all three of the other cardinal heroes, it would have had to be without the tortoise itself.
Yeah, so it's just another check mark in the dislike of the three cardinal heroes. So it was kind of funny what happened to him. For any of our new listeners, I kind of go back to the beginning of the season and work my way through. And to go all the way back to the beginning, you see Orishia's costume get altered by the blacksmith. I don't remember his name. They really don't ever say his name.
I saw it on characters list, but he's the
blacksmith in Melromark.
The bald guy. Yeah, he's the one that we all know.
He also makes her a custom sword to use. Naofumi is actually the one that suggests to Keel and Rishia to get the slave crests.
Keel?
Yep, Keel and Naofumi, so that they can boost their stats, because Naofumi gives essentially a super boost on XP
to whoever their slave is.
To whoever is his slave or the monster crest.
Okay. So to our listeners, Keel, if you have forgotten, it was like Raftalia's friend from from
childhood friend. Yep.
back when she was like a prisoner. So like,
Well, it was when before the waves. So when they were kids on the island or the village, and then they were also in the prison / enslavement together.
right. So Keel, he wants to be part of the team that fights the waves. But what Matt is saying is that Keel wants to become a slave so that he can boost his level.
So that he can keep going.
Right. Oh, but from when the anime is saying, the anime just drops Keel in the very beginning.
Yep. And just focuses on Rishia. And in the manga, you see Keel, basically he's trying to profess his love to Raftalia, who wants absolutely nothing to do with it.
Ooh, interesting.
That's what I'm implying it as, because he wants to protect Raftalia from having to fight and do all these other things.
Uh-huh.
So that's why he wants to be stronger, is so that she doesn't have to do these things. And that is why he agrees to be a slave to Naofumi, so that he can boost up his level and essentially protect Raftalia.
Okay. Does Keel becoming a slave replace Rishia becoming a slave, or is
No,
Rishia
they both do.
They both. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Sorry.
They both willingly become slaves, instead of kind of Rishia bringing it up like, I want to be I want to be your slave. And it's like, well, Naofumi does his kind of fuck the world mentality, where he's like, well, just become my slaves and you can be strong, because they're talking about how weak they are. And he's like, well, you can be strong, just be my slave. And they both think about it for a little bit and then agree to it, instead of kind of being coerced into it like it seems in the manga. You find out one thing about Rishia: she can use every type of magic, which is super I don't want to call it important, but it's different, because most people can only use like a couple types of magic. But instead, Rishia can use every type of magic. And they even make a comment where it's like, oh, well, most people can only do like one or two. And it's like, oh, well, I can do them all. Okay. So
I guess that kind of makes her more powerful when she went up against Kyo.
She has redeeming qualities, and she's not just this randomly strong person. She just doesn't know how to tap into it.
Okay, so it's just kind of there.
So then that old woman is actually somebody that Naofumi had saved in that village that was getting poisoned. She's actually one of those people.
Like from season 1 when the dragon was decaying?
Yep.
Okay.
And then everybody was getting poisoned. Mm-hmm. So it's actually, she is one of those people.
Okay. I remember that she was in season 1. I don't remember exactly where.
Yeah, it's basically in the middle.
Okay.
You see Rishia getting a folial costume. You really don't see that in the manga. She just kind of appears in one, right? In the end? Or no?
She's given it. Mm-hmm. I don't remember who gives it to her, but she is given a folial costume.
Yeah, she gets it from the blacksmith.
Okay.
A big thing is the fight prior to the tortoise. Like, there's a lot more that happens between basically the beginning of the season and the fight with the tortoise. There's a bunch of stuff that happens. Like one thing is Naofumi and his team passes by a town that was overrun by the mutant plant that he saves in the previous season. In season 1, you remember that plant that basically took over the entire city?
Vague memory, yes.
Well, now that plant has kind of created a forest, but it's not overgrowing. And they're going through this place, and this village is actually prosperous because of the plant that Naofumi mutated to not destroy the town. Mm-hmm. And they're very welcoming of Naofumi. So he gets to go to that village, and then that village actually gets attacked by familiars of the spirit tortoise.
Okay.
Keel is there with him, with Raftalia, Philo, and Rishia at this moment in time.
Wow.
So, well, he is enslaved by Naofumi.
Right.
And as Naofumi and Rishia are going to kind of try and investigate what's going on, the town/village gets attacked. Keel and Raftalia defend the town. Keel actually gets attacked and injured by one of the familiars and starts getting a tortoise shell on his back. So
Ooh,
basically,
so he's getting infected?
he's getting infected by the familiar,
Okay.
which is why he is not involved in the fight with the tortoise.
Okay.
When Naofumi is protecting this village is the same time that the other cardinal heroes run away. Naofumi asks Vittoria to help find the cardinal heroes, and she's like, no, they can go fuck themselves. I'm not going to do that. I get it.
But I mean, it's kind of strange because she's the one that says, if you don't work together, I'm going to kill you all.
Yes, but she's not going to force them to work together.
Good point.
Then, as Naofumi goes and tries to catch up to the three heroes, because essentially they're getting leads on where they're at from the shadows. For the individuals that don't remember, the shadows are the people that work with the queen and they're ninjas essentially, and give intel / information on various things.
They also work with Melty.
They do. Well, she's a part of the queen's lineage,
Right.
so
Just want to throw her name out there.
yes. And so
With
the help of the shadows, now Fumi's getting some intel, and he is attempting to catch up to the three heroes. That is when the tortoise starts moving and just obliterating everything in sight. The three heroes are seen attacking the tortoise, and nothing is really known about what's going on. So they kind of the three heroes go rogue, and then it's kind of a blank about what's going on. When Naofumi finally gets to the spirit tortoise, it's already had its head chopped off. So that whole big fight that happens,
so my favorite scene doesn't happen?
No, it doesn't happen.
How did it get chopped off?
They don't know. It just doesn't have a head. When they get to it, it's headless.
What?
Yes.
Okay. That's pretty crazy.
It's kind of one of those things where you're just like, what the fuck just happened here? They talk about the 7 vassal heroes, which are selected by the 7 clans. So I take that as there are 7 major clans, which would include Melremark. I am including Melremark as one of the 7. If you don't include them, that means there's probably, 11 major cities or major towns in the world that Naofumi is now residing in.
Do you think the queen has a secret weapon that she's the leader?
No, I don't think she has any secrets. I
guess that would kind of contradict the first season because she was like captive or something, wasn't she?
No, she was going around essentially trying to put out fires that the Trash King started by bringing in all these heroes.
Okay.
All the cardinal heroes. At this point, so after you find the spirit tortoise is when you finally learn about Ost. So you see her once saying, hey, you need to kill me. And now Fumi's like, yeah, I don't think so. And just kind of continues on his way. And this is the second time you meet Ost, and you finally find out who she is, and you see her at the inside, you see her in the village in the turtle's back. So Naofumi and group go onto the spirit tortoise. They're like, well, it's dead. We need to figure out what's going on. So they go onto the tortoise, and they run into that same village that has the scripture in Japanese. Mm-hmm. And this is where you finally officially meet Ost.
Interesting. That's so late.
Yes, it's significantly later.
But I guess it does add to her being like the spiritual portion of the tortoise anyway. So
yep.
Like, she's got to appear at more significant parts, not
just randomly.
Not just this familiar.
Yep.
I mean, in the anime, they made her seem like just a normal human going around and, making people want to have sex with her and all that stuff.
That's actually very funny that you talk about that, because the next note I have is you find out that Ost is the, as they put it, the concubine that enticed the king. So she is the one that they make mention of in the first season, where he is essentially cheating on the queen. It is actually with Ost.
Oh, so there's some little bit of crossover there.
Yes.
Okay. I guess I'd have to go back and rewatch the entire first season to catch that.
Yeah, they talk about how he was being unfaithful. And, one of the individuals that he was being unfaithful against the queen with was Ost.
Okay.
And her whole goal was to kind of manipulate the affairs in which was going on within all of the kingdoms.
Right.
The fight between Fatoria and the Spirit Tortoise is a little different. Like, she comes flying in on this, like, tank looking thing. It's super crazy. I've got screen grabs. We'll post it up on our manga mentions. It's super crazy. It essentially is this, like, super tank looking thing that she was riding around on versus just flying in and going crazy on the tortoise. She still goes crazy on it, but with the help of this tank.
Okay.
During the fight with the tortoise, Naofumi uses his hate shield, and Ost extracts the magic because it was taking over Naofumi, and she, as an Ost, gets hurt in the process of doing that versus where she's just like, no, don't do that. Here, take my spiritual power, and it's for the better. And it's more of a give and take thing versus just no, use this instead. It's better.
Okay.
The tortoise turns into this Hydra thing where he's got 3 heads and he's just thrashing all around.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that kind of would have been cooler.
Yes. More screen grabs. I've got that as well. Yeah, just Hydra, turtle, tortoise destroying the world with 3 heads.
Interesting. Does it say why?
No.
Just grows a third.
Just grows 3 heads. Yep. Head chops off, comes back, 3 heads. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
3-headed turtle.
Yep. So when the group is inside the Spirit Tortoise, the group consists of Naofumi, Raftalia, Philo, but it also, and Rishia, but it also includes Eclair, the old woman, and the queen.
The queen?
The queen. Everybody, basically everybody important is involved in this killing of the tortoise.
Wow, that is so different.
Yes.
What's the point of the queen?
She's influential. I don't know. She's just along for the ride, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Because this giant great battle that happened before to kill the tortoise, it didn't happen. It was the tortoise is dead. They go exploring the tortoise's back, and then as they're on the tortoise is when it hydras itself into this 3-headed thing, and that is when, so they're already there. Where are they going to go?
Okay.
So it's just different.
It's just kind of bad timing.
Yes.
In their sense. Okay.
And so you don't need the super great battle because you have Fatoria taking off the head or the main head of this tortoise while the group is on the inside trying to kill the heart.
Right.
The shadows are the ones that actually show the group where the entrance to the inside of the tortoise is, not Ost.
Randomly opening up a thing.
Basically. It's Raftalia who is the one that notices Lark, not his catchphrase kiddo, that gives it away. She notices that they're using illusion magic, which, she can use, and that is how she notices them versus that stupid way they're doing it. The fight with Kyo is slightly different. Kyo overpowers the group using different series of magic and grabs everybody but Rishia. Basically, he's like, oh yeah, you're here too. Because she's so weak, he didn't even bother grabbing her, essentially.
Right.
And then they have the fight versus Rishia getting the power of friendship and being able to overpower Kyo.
Okay, so she didn't get this Ultra Super Saiyan
random ability, no.
And then start talking like a badass, like she knows how to fight all her entire life kind of thing.
I mean, yes and no. Her resolve, because of Kyo being, in a sense, a mirror of herself, but just as an evil person, that is kind of portrayed, but it's not like her just instantly being able to go against this gravity magic. Like, she doesn't get any extra abilities. She's just like...
Oh, that's fine. I bought all of that. It's just that, like, she's in the anime, she's like, you use such simplistic moves. I'm like, why are you trying to act like your IQ is 100 points higher than his? Like, that was not you an episode ago.
No, that's not how that works. Basically, just she's like, I'm not going to let you beat me. I'm going to beat you. And then she does end up beating him with Ost's help.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of help, but just kind of a little bit of minor help. You see Kyo stealing the energy from the spirit tortoise's core. At this point is when you find out that the next spirit animal for the world is a phoenix.
Oh, so we find out
basically
that's early instead of late.
Yes.
Okay.
That's really all they talk about. Like, that's the end of it. You don't know anything else after that.
Fair enough. I mean, we don't know anything else either as far as the manga or the anime goes.
Yep. And then another big difference is when the four of them go into the new world, as they call it, it is actually only Naofumi and Rishia that are in the world together. So Raftalia is not there.
What?
Yes. So it's only, like I said, it's only Naofumi and Rishia in the Infinite Labyrinth together.
I mean, if you were to subtract Philo from that, I can see that. But the anime threw Raftalia and gave her the sword. That's a huge plot point.
So that does happen, but in the Infinite Labyrinth, it is literally only Rishia and Naofumi.
Okay.
So
for this moment, I can buy that.
So Raftalius, the four of them are in the world.
Oh, okay.
But the two of them, as in Naofumi and Rishia, are together. And the other two, Raftalia and Philo, are separated.
Okay, I'm totally fine with that.
Yes. Because, I mean, let's be completely honest. In the beginning of the second part of the season, like, Raftalia doesn't do a whole lot.
Not too much. And when it came down to it, when she wasn't included in the teleportation with that first dragon temple thing, why wasn't she able to teleport with them?
She basically chose not to, and you're just like, but that doesn't make any sense. Why would she?
I don't think she chose not to. I think.
Oh yeah, no, it was Kyo that was like, oh.
Or it was either Kyo or Kazuki.
Yeah.
One of them altered it. That's the only thing I could imagine is somehow they made a trap and someone was not allowed. Like, how would you plan that far ahead?
So imagine everything from that moment back without Raftalia.
Okay.
That's essentially how it was. Everything minus her was how it happened.
Okay, so nothing much changed.
Nothing really changed. She just was not with them when it happened.
So essentially she followed Lark
from
the get-go?
So she was in the prison with Lark and crew the whole time.
Okay, I'm on board with that. I like that.
Yes. One thing that kind of really only makes sense if you understand, like, if you're reading the manga, is that he calls Raftalia Chan, which can be endearing. So it kind of plays on that relationship thing that people are insinuating between Naofumi and Raftalia.
Elaborate. Like they might have something in the future.
So Chan is something you would use as somebody that is younger than you, but also in an endearing tone. So, in the translations, from what I've read, basically you would use that context as somebody who you admire / have feelings for. You wouldn't just use it as somebody who is younger than you.
Oh, okay. So it's not just like you're a student, but it's like, hey, when you grow older, maybe there could be something.
Well, so he said Raftalia Chin instead of just Raftalia. So it was kind of like that endearing, basically saying, saying her name in an endearing fashion. So an essence of he's showing his feelings towards who Raftalia is, because we're talking about when he's producing the Shikigami and thinking about Raftalia. So he's kind of producing those he's outwardly expressing the feelings he has inside towards her.
Right.
But that is when he asks Rafi, which is the Shikigami, to find Raftalia. Because every other time he's just said her name, but this time he says Chen. And then the Shikigami is what brought Naofumi to where Philo was, not just hearing, like Naofumi just randomly hearing her. It was actually the Shikigami that led them towards Philo.
Okay.
Which makes more sense.
Because the Shikigami is attracted to
everything that is important to Naofumi and Raftalia.
Right. Yeah, that's much better.
Yes. That whole scene with that noble / merchant is kind of fucked up. So it's almost like, kind of think of it like the Scarecrow and Batman, where the Scarecrow is essentially pushing all of these super fucked up images into your head as you see them, basically compounding on it. And that's what Naofumi is doing. So instead of Naofumi just having the shield, the ape shield, and then the guy starting to go insane, you see Naofumi essentially bringing on the craziness that's going on within the noble's head.
His own head.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what I took upon it. Like, he's just making him scared.
Yep.
Because that shield kind of... Did that come from season 1, or did that just fucking come up out of nowhere?
No,
I don't remember the shield.
So... that happens in season 1. It happens when Naofumi interacts with that chimera, and you see those bats in that cave, and it's bringing out like the worst fears within the individual.
Shit, it's been a minute.
It was Naofumi went to that cave because he was trying to get he was trying to get some sort of magical item so that Philo could have clothing that would morph into her Philolial body and her human body, so that she wouldn't destroy her clothes and just be naked running around every time she changed into a human.
That's a small detail that I'm glad they mentioned.
Yes. So that's when he got that shield, was from those bats.
Okay.
You see Naofumi essentially enhancing by talking through the bad things that the merchant / noble was seeing. And he actually does it to all the people in that building, which there were a bunch of people in that building, not just the noble, which kind of makes it more fucked up if you really think about it, because he's making a shit ton of people go insane.
Makes it better.
Yes.
Visually, it would be cooler to see instead of just one person.
Yep. So then once gets Philo, he teleports himself and group out of the town because, well, they made a bunch of rackets, so they want to make themselves more inconspicuous. And so he teleports them where they got teleported by the boat hero, which I'm drawing a blank on his name because it's been a minute since we said it. Ethnobolt.
There it is. Okay, so he still has the skill of teleporting to places he's been to before.
Yes, but he makes mention that he can only do it for like 3 locations.
Okay. Better than fucking Goku and Dragon Ball GT. Real quick tangent.
Yes.
So I'm watching GT. Of course, Goku in the end of Dragon Ball Z can transmission anybody, a group of people anywhere.
Not instant mission transmission.
Right. Just not the long ass way that I used to say it. But as soon as he gets wished into a kid, he still has all the same skills. He can still instant transmission anywhere. But when he tries to do it with Pan and Trunks at the same time, he goes to like random ass locations like 100 yards away, and like he has no control. Like, I
get that it's like, well, he's a kid, so he's not gonna have. But it's like, but you gave him all his abilities.
He still has all of his abilities. I rewatching this. I'm only like 15 episodes in, and I totally understand Of course, I'm not to the point where all the fun action is yet.
Yeah.
But I totally understand why people don't like this fucking season. This first half is so goddamn annoying. It's nothing but fluff. It's pure fluff.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Well, at least now we know how far you are into GT. One, I guess, kind of big thing is when the Katana chooses Raftalia to be the vassal, she is already in quotations, an adult.
Okay. I mean, they did in the anime, they made mention that she's got her like growing pains.
She was growing, and then she becomes the vassal hero and then turns into an adult. And I'm like, why did getting chosen by the Katana make her an adult? Like, what did that have anything to do with her level?
It just gave her a massive experience bonus.
For what?
Acquiring a super awesome sword.
That would be like in an RPG where you loot drop this super awesome sword and then you gain 20 levels. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that's essentially what happened in the manga.
Well, in the anime, yes.
In the anime, it's slowly,
that is what happens in the anime where it's like, oh, now I'm the Katana hero, so I guess I'm going to be level 20 now. Okay, Here we go.
Yep, that's what happened.
And in the manga, she is already that level.
Oh, sorry. Okay, messed up that a little bit.
And then what they do that they don't do in the anime is they actually make her wear like this bandana headdress thing to cover her ears. So she's not just walking around with this
fluffy ears.
Fox ears.
Raccoon ears.
Yeah, excuse me. Walking around with her raccoon ears. It just kind of makes her more inconspicuous. Mm-hmm. Oh, I did write his name down. Kazuki. Mm-hmm. I wrote it down once.
That's all it's needed.
Everyone is there for that fight. So the fight between Raftalia and Kazuki, everyone is there because he's summoned all of the spirit animals, which are Byakuya's.
The tigers, yep.
Yep. There's like a town full of them.
Oh, not just the two plus the boss?
Yes.
Okay.
And Kazuna obliterates all of them in one swoop because she's got this like super ability where she can double the attack damage on animals.
Kizuna?
Yeah, Kizuna.
So she can't hurt humans, but she can double damage animals?
Within certain criteria, she can double damage individuals.
Interesting.
And she obliterates the entire town of Byakuyas.
Well, with like one giant-ass Getsuga Tensho or what?
With essentially one attack. So she kind of fishing lures everyone and just obliterates everyone.
What? That sounds super OP.
Yeah, it was super crazy. I don't remember exactly what the criteria were, but she was able to kill all of them in one swoop.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
And then Raftalia just cuts Kazuki in half. So they're fighting, and then she just chops him in half.
Does he die at that moment, or does he die like an episode later?
No, dead.
Okay.
No extra bullshit. No, they're fighting. She chops him in half. He's dead.
Okay, cool.
So after that happens is when the essentially first wave happens. So there's two waves that happen while Naofumi is in that world.
Okay.
And so the first wave happens. You see these giant elephants. They destroy it. Kizuna and everyone, kills all these, or defeats the wave. And they have a celebration with Lark and everybody, and that is when Naofumi finds out that Lark is the young noble.
Okay.
That is also when Naofumi finds out about Kizuna's house, which gives him the idea of having a home base in Raftalia's village. So that's where he gets the idea from.
Okay.
Which makes more sense.
Yeah, instead of just going toward... Because in the anime, he kind of did it just because of her memories.
Yep.
Like, on first whim. But here we can see that, like, okay, a little bit more split into it.
He gets the idea from Kazuna and then uses Raftalia's village because of Raftalia, because he does have feelings for her. Right? That we can assume.
Right.
And then the fight with Yomogi happens at Kazuna's house. So it doesn't just randomly happen in the village. It happens at her house.
And she's the one that had that exploding sword?
Yep. She's the first one that has the exploding sword.
Right.
And it is actually Philo who notices that there's something off with the sword because she can smell it. She's like, hey, Master Naofumi, something's going on with the sword. We need to do something with the sword. And that is what brings the attention to the sword. Okay. Makes more sense than just Naofumi having, again, random powers that he didn't have in the first season. And then the Risha is the one that gets the tentacles off of Yomogi's arms by using fire talismans that she got from glass. Basically, they're these talismans that anybody with any magical abilities could use. So you just kind of throw them and then they work. Kind of like, oh man, who's the guy that can use the wind tunnel in Inuyasha? Moroku. Yes, exactly. Moroku. Same thing, where he's just like, just use this and you'll be fine. Same concept. And the fight with Yomogi was actually just a distraction to burn down Lark's castle. Okay. And then after that, they attempt to teleport to there, but because the dragon hourglass is sealed off, they cannot do that, and they can only transport to basically nearby. Boss fight-esque scenario going on right there. And then all of trash number 2's, I don't exactly know what they were. All those women that were following him.
Those hybrids?
Well, they turned into hybrids, but before they were hybrids.
Oh, some kind of underlings?
Yeah, the women that were endearing to him, who end up getting transformed into hybrids by Kyo, they also have similar weapons to what Yomogi had. And that is when Naofumi uses the Rage Shield because, well, as you know, they explode and you can't just let them explode in the middle of the city / inside a castle. So he tried to use the Rage Shield to suck up these weapons because one was a bow, one was a spear, and one was a sword. So he essentially remade the cardinal weapons.
Is that how it was in the anime?
I think so.
I just remember a sword.
I can tell you for a fact it was that way in the manga.
Okay.
And
I just remember Naofumi activating like 5 shields to protect everybody from the massive blast.
Yes. Instead, he tries to suck it in using the heat shield.
Okay. Interesting.
Because they were going to be so strong that he needed that extra rage to be able to imprison those weapons. So that is actually the first time you see Naofumi attempting or even getting frustrated while in that world. So all this extra like little pokes that Naofumi is getting in the anime doesn't happen. Like he's just not angry in the manga like he is in the anime.
Okay, that's different.
Glass brings up that she believes that Kyo is attempting to transfer a soul from one vassal to another. So basically being able to live eternally by transferring souls. In a sense, making himself immortal. And trash number 2 was an experiment for that purpose. Basically, he allowed him to get killed and recreated to try and bring him back. Kyo killed the mirror vassal, but left part of his soul so that he could use him like a puppet, because if the vassal was completely dead, the mirror would no longer be his weapon. And so he was technically still alive in the sense that his soul was still there. And then the last thing that we find out is that the 3 heroes did not attempt to fight in the wave that we know of. They really don't make mention of it. They might make mention of it later on within the chapters, but I didn't continue reading because I didn't want to read too far into it just to find out one little detail. They woke up after being rescued from their slumber of Kyo's entrapment, and they just escaped. Like, that's all we really know about after they woke up. And yeah, that's really everything.
Okay. There's quite a few differences, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was...
I'd say more especially in the turtle arc.
Yes. They basically skipped a lot of the beginning and changed they changed Keel's role.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
And
I really hope to see more of him in the next anime, at least.
Yeah, especially since they're going to be back, it would make a lot more sense to have him. And they gave Naofumi his, like, a village for no true reason. But now everything kind of lines up. Other than Rishia being kind of more gifted than they made her appear to be in the anime, I wouldn't really say too many major things changed, because I mean, Kyo still died. Trash number 2 still was a puppet.
Yep.
Raftalius still ended up being in the prison and becoming the Katana vassal. So like all the major things still lined up together. So I'm curious if there was anything in the light novels that changed as well.
Right.
I don't have enough time to read the light novels.
I'm right there with you. Like, I love finding out these differences between the anime and the manga. I can only imagine what the true original source has to say.
Yes. And I mean, it's the same thing with, we just found out that season 2 of Jobless Reincarnation was announced.
Yep. Nice.
And like, if you look at the icon, there has to be a time skip. So does anything happen between, so that visual, you've seen the visual for Jobless season 2, right?
Is it season 2 or is it we saw part 2 of season 1.
Yep, we saw part 2 of season 1.
So threw me through a loop.
So
I feel like I should have, what was it supposed to be again?
I mean, you see Rudius and he's definitely...
Oh my god, I don't know why. I
late
thought slime.
Yes, no. Jobless.
Jobless reincarnation.
And you see a picture of Rudius and he's probably mid to late teens.
Yeah, I already, when we covered season 1,
yep,
and we were making, like, I went to Google and pulled screenshots onto
yep.
one of our social media pages. I already got spoiled. I knew that he grew older. Like,
yes, but that doesn't mean that the ending of season 1 and the beginning of season 2 has to have a time skip. But if we go off this visual, as in the beginning of season 2, there 100% has to be a time skip. And I'm talking.
I can't imagine that they're going to start with the time skip.
Maybe.
I'll be very surprised. Or if they start with it, they'll go a couple episodes and then like they'll take a couple episodes and go back in time to make sense of the first couple episodes.
Yes, because
if you follow that,
Rudius was going to attempt to find his mother.
Yep.
Which, I mean, they might make half of a season into that, and then the rest of the season where you have this time skip, which even still, I know that's, from what I've seen online, again, take it with a grain of salt, you're skipping like 2 novels. Like, oh really? Yeah. So, granted, does anything truly happen in those 2 novels? I don't know. Right. Like, as I was telling my cousin, I feel like Jobless is going to be one of those that eventually I'm going to have to read, because I want to know what happens. Right. Because it was truly amazing. Like, I really enjoyed Jobless. And as some of our comments made mention, that OVA actually isn't just filler and something that they made. So I'm curious how that OVA for season 1 plays into effect into the rest of the series. So we'll see. I hope I have time to do it. I definitely don't have time right now, but I want to know what happens. And I've 100% spoiled myself as far as Jobless is gone.
That's all right. We'll make up for it.
Yes. But yeah, that's everything when it comes to Shield Hero. in the manga. Again, the manga is an adaptation off of the light novel, so there could be even crazier changes between the light novel and the manga and the anime. Unfortunately, I don't have time to read 4 books worth of light novels.
No,
I am not that good of a reader where I could read, oh man, yeah. Even if you were to call them 200 pages a book, like 800 pages, I couldn't do that in 2 weeks.
Not a chance.
So, granted, I read almost 40 chapters in the 2 weeks for this, but there's no way I could have read these 40 chapters, the 4 books, and watched the anime. Oh man, I feel like that would take me a year.
We're going to have to hire another person.
And by hire, it's going to be, please join us for drinks.
Pretty much.
But yeah, that's really all I got for Shield Hero. I can't wait for season 3 because I want to know how they continue.
Yeah, and make it better and redeem most of this season. Make it worth it.
Yes, I would completely agree with that. If they make season 3 like they made the ending of season 2 or all of season 1, 100% worth it. If they make it like the beginning of season 2, I feel like there's going to be a lot of disappointed fans.
Oh yeah. No more fast forwarding through shit. We need some real drama being pulled out of stuff.
We need more world building. So yeah, you got anything else?
Nope, I'm tapped out at this point. Well, that's another episode of the Anime Lounge podcast. Please leave us a like/5-star rating on wherever you're listening to help us grow. We also post a YouTube series called Anime Lounge Short Flights. Make sure to tune into that every week and follow us on hot new anime that is out. And we will catch you guys next time. Later.